You may have been telling yourself, it's going to take me years to change my life. You've been looking at the mountain, thinking it's too big, the dream is too far, the struggle is too deep. But what if I told you that in just 72 hours, 3 days, you could start a brand new chapter? Not by solving everything overnight, but by making a decision that in 3 days' time, your life will not be in the same place it is right now. The truth is, transformation doesn't begin when every problem is fixed. It begins when you decide you're no longer going to live with the same mindset. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect resources, or the perfect plan. All it takes is a shift in your heart, a change in your words, a new agreement with your destiny. In the next 72 hours, you can change what you speak over yourself, change how you think about your future, and change what you're willing to settle for. For maybe you've been feeling stuck for months or even years, but God doesn't need years to do what He can do in days. A phone call can come, a door can open, an opportunity can present itself, and in 72 hours you could be standing in a place you never imagined. But you got to set your heart in the right direction. The way you think in the next 3 days can set the tone for the rest of your life. Well, if you spend it speaking faith, acting in courage, and expecting good things, you'll create momentum that nothing can stop. Don't underestimate the power of small steps. You may not be able to run a mile today, but you can walk around the block. You may not be able to fix the whole relationship in one day, but you can send that text, make that call, take that first step toward healing. When you take a step, heaven takes a step toward you. You have 72 hours in front of you. 3 days to speak victory, to refuse defeat, to set your mind on what's ahead. You are not defined by what happened yesterday. You are defined by the choices you make today. Decide that these next 3 days will be different and watch how everything else begins to shift. You may think it takes years to change your life, to shift your situation, to break free from the place you've been stuck. But the truth is, change begins the very moment you decide it's time. You don't have to wait for next month or next year. You don't have to see every step of the journey before you take the first one. Everything shifts when you make the choice in your heart that you will no longer accept living beneath the level you were created for. That's the power of a decision. It ignites momentum. It sends a signal to your mind, to your spirit, to your surroundings that something is different now. The next 72 hours could be the start of the greatest transformation of your life, not because you'll accomplish every goal instantly, but because you'll set in motion a chain of events that will move you toward the life you were meant to live. It's easy to say, I'll start later, but later never comes. You keep putting it off until you realize years have passed and nothing has changed. But when you decide today, you bring later into now. You take the first step, and that step creates movement. In just 3 days, you can shift the atmosphere of your life. You can break old patterns of thinking. You can replace self-doubt with self-belief. You can stop rehearsing the hurt and start rehearsing the hope. This isn't about doing everything at once. It's about planting seeds that will grow into the future you desire. Think about it. If you were to spend the next 72 hours speaking faith instead of fear, making choices that align with your goals instead of sabotaging them, surrounding yourself with encouragement instead of discouragement, you would be amazed at how different you feel. That feeling isn't just emotion. It's a sign that your mind is beginning to change. And when your mind changes, your life follows. You might have been telling yourself, I'm too far gone. I've made too many mistakes. I've been in this situation for too long. But you are never too far, never too broke to turn around. All it takes is a moment of decision to start the process. Your destiny is not waiting on perfect conditions. It's waiting on you to take ownership of your next move. The next 72 hours could be a turning point, but you have to see them as valuable. You have to see every hour as an opportunity to create something new. When you wake up tomorrow, you can choose gratitude instead of complaint. You can choose to focus on what's working instead of what's missing. You can choose to take one small action that moves you forward instead of staying still. That choice might seem small in the moment, but it's like a match to kindling. It can spark a fire that changes the entire landscape of your life. In these 3 days, you can begin to speak over yourself words you've never dared to say. You can begin to believe you're capable of more than you've settled for. You can begin to remove the labels that others have placed on you and replace them with the truth of who you are meant to be. Your mind will try to pull you back to the familiar, to the old patterns, but you have to remind yourself that the familiar is what kept you stuck. The decision you make now is your escape route from the limits you've been living under. Every breakthrough starts with a choice to break away from the old. That's why the next 72 hours matters so much. They're not about how much you can achieve instantly, but about solidifying your new direction. If you start telling yourself right now, I am capable, I am strong, I am moving forward, and you live that truth for the next 3 days, you'll begin to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. The people around you will notice the change. Doors will start to open, not because the world suddenly became easier, but because your perspective shifted. You're no longer looking for reasons why it won't work. You're looking for ways to make it happen. That's the difference a decision can make. You might say, but what if I fail? What if instead you ask, what if this works? Fear will always present the worst case scenario, but faith will show you the best case outcome. And you have the power to choose which voice you listen to. In the next 72 hours, listen to the voice that tells you your best days are ahead. Listen to the voice that says you have what it takes. Listen to the voice that tells you your circumstances don't define you, your choices do. You don't have to know how everything will work out. You just have to know that staying the same is no longer an option. That's enough to begin. Change doesn't wait for convenience, and neither should you. If you've been waiting for the perfect time, you've already missed it. The perfect time is the moment you decide. Right now is that moment. In 3 days' time, you can look back and say, that's when I turned the page. That's when I drew the line. That's when I said enough is enough. And years from now, you may look back on this decision and realize it was the catalyst for everything that followed. The first day will be about setting your intention. The second will be about following through despite the resistance. And the third will be about realizing you've built momentum that can't be easily stopped. That's the beauty of it. You only have to focus on the next step, the next choice, the next hour. String enough of those together and you'll find yourself in a place you didn't think you could reach. So don't underestimate what 72 hours can do. Don't underestimate the power of a decision. This could be the time that changes everything. It's not about waiting for the breakthrough. It's about becoming the person who attracts it. And that begins the moment you decide to live the next 3 days like your future depends on it. Because it does. Your mindset is the steering wheel of your life. And whichever way it turns, that's the direction you're going to go. You can have all the talent in the world, all the opportunities lined up, and all the resources at your disposal. But if your mind is locked in defeat, you will sabotage every blessing before it fully arrives. The truth is, your miracle isn't always waiting on the outside. It's waiting on the inside, in the way you think, in the way you see yourself. If you want a new level of victory, you've got to shift your mindset before you ever see the evidence. Too many people live their lives waiting for something to happen before they start thinking differently. They say, when I get the promotion, then I'll believe I'm successful. When I meet the right person, then I'll feel loved. When the problem goes away, then I'll have peace. But that's backward. The right mindset doesn't follow the miracle. It precedes it. You have to think yourself into the life you want before you ever walk it. You have to see yourself winning while you're still in the middle of the battle. If you keep seeing yourself defeated, you're inviting defeat to stay. If you keep agreeing with fear, you're giving fear a seat at your table. But the moment you decide, I'm changing the way I think, I'm going to see possibilities instead of impossibilities. I'm going to speak victory instead of defeat. Something begins to shift. You start to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You start to recognize doors that have been open the whole time. You begin to feel stronger, even before the circumstances change. That's because your mind sets the tone for your life. When your mindset is full of faith, gratitude, and expectation, you position yourself for blessings. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about refusing to let reality dictate your hope. You can acknowledge that the storm is real and still believe that it's not permanent. You can see the mountain and still believe it can move. You can face the pain and still believe that joy is coming in the morning. That's the power of a victory mindset. It sees beyond what is into what can be. The enemy of your soul doesn't have to take away your resources to defeat. He just has to take away your belief. And if he can get you to think small, to expect little, to focus on the problem instead of the promise, he's already won half the battle. But when you guard your mind, when you refuse to entertain thoughts that pull you backward, you take back control of your future. You can't always control what thoughts come to your mind, but you can control which ones you dwell on. Every time a thought of defeat shows up, you can replace it with a declaration of victory. Every time a thought of fear shows up, you can replace it with a statement of faith. You may have to do it 100 times a day, but every time you do, you're rewiring your mind for success. This isn't just positive thinking. It's choosing to align your thoughts with the truth that you were created for more. When you live with a victory mindset, you stop waiting for permission to move forward. You don't wait for someone to validate you before you believe in yourself. You don't wait for the perfect circumstances to take action. You wake up every day and decide today is filled with possibilities. Today I am moving toward my destiny. Today I will not be limited by fear or doubt. And as you keep making that choice, your life starts to match your mindset. People around you will notice the difference. They'll see you handling challenges with calm. They'll see you speaking faith when others are speaking fear. They'll see you expecting good things when the situation looks bad. That's the kind of mindset that attracts favor. You might not see the results instantly, but every day you keep your mind in victory, you're building the foundation for a breakthrough. Think of it like planting seeds. If you keep planting seeds of hope, joy, and faith in your thoughts, eventually your life will grow in that direction. On the other hand, if you plant seeds of worry, negativity, and defeat, you'll harvest exactly that. Your harvest will always match your mindset. That's why you have to be intentional. Guard your input, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, because it's feeding your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who speak life, not those who drain it. If you have to walk alone for a season to protect your mindset, do it. It's better to walk alone in victory than to walk with a crowd in defeat. The way you see yourself also matters. If you see yourself as less than, unworthy, or incapable, no amount of opportunity can make up for that. But when you start seeing yourself as valuable, capable, and destined for good things, you begin to rise to that level. Your actions follow your identity. If you believe you are a person who wins, you'll approach challenges differently. You won't run from them. You'll face them knowing they can't take you out. A victory mindset also changes how you respond to setbacks. Instead of seeing them as proof you can't win, you see them as lessons that prepare you for greater wins. You don't crumble when things go wrong. You adjust, you adapt, you keep moving. This is how you stay on track toward your miracle. The shift in your mind is what invites the shift in your life. Many times, the thing you've been praying for is already on its way, but it requires a certain mindset to receive it. If the opportunity arrived right now, would you have the belief to take it? Would you have the confidence to step into it? Or would you talk yourself out of it? That's why mindset work is so important. You're preparing yourself for the blessings you're asking for. The victory mindset says, I'm ready now. I'll step into the opportunity. I'll embrace the change. I'll trust the process. It's a way of living that keeps you in position for favor every day. The next 72 hours can be a turning point for your mind. You can spend them retraining your thoughts, replacing doubt with faith, and shifting your focus from the problem to the promise. If you'll do that, you'll feel lighter, more hopeful, more ready for what's ahead. And when your mindset changes, your miracle won't be far behind. Your life will rise to meet the level of your thinking. So set your mind on victory and refuse to settle for anything less.